Welcome to the Diversity Project. I am your host, Rhonda Kulch, and we are so excited again for another amazing episode. On today's episode, we are welcoming a few of Long Island's finest people that serve our special needs community. And of course, the Diversity Project is focused on educating the community about resources and opportunities, and today's episode is no different. Our guests today will be discussing their missions and how they work to support the special needs communities. Of course, we always want to start by thanking our sponsors. So this week's sponsor is LifeVac, an innovative first aid device that could save people's lives with their non-powered suction device used to clear airway obstruction. Please visit lifevac.net and order yours today. So in studio today, we have just, one of those salt of the earth great guys. We are sitting with Bob Policastro from Angela's house. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Rhonda, and thank you for the compliment.
There are those people that we meet along the way that have amazing journeys. And when I heard the story about how Angela's house was formed, I think it's important, not just for myself with somebody, and I hate to say it selfishly, I have healthy children, but there are so many people out there that do not have healthy children. And because of somebody like yourself and because of the staff that you have become the lifesaver for so many. So if you could tell us a little bit about Angela's house and why it's so important to you and how it was formed.
Well, it's started 31 years ago when my wife and I were having our second child, and unfortunately a lot went wrong during birth and left her very, very medically fragile. It's a population that most people don't understand who and what they are. But I learned that getting her home was going to be very difficult because there weren't even pediatric home care agencies at the time. And then I learned how kids were living in hospitals. So from that point forward, I was trying to get services for her. She ended up the closest place for her was a hospital in Connecticut, which unfortunately is ridiculous for someone here on Long Island. So we've been advocating ever since. She lived a little over a year. We now have 3 amazing houses which can care for kids 24/7 with 24-hour nursing and supports. And then we work with over 600 kids a year in the community to help those parents support their kids. And that can mean everything from medical supplies, help in the home, or any other resources that they might need.
Now, right now, obviously, we're talking about medically fragile children, and we are also I'll be honest, I don't know what we call where we are right now with our pandemic. We're not at the beginning, doesn't look like there's an end in sight, but we realize that medically fragile children are no different. How has COVID affected your ability to either have the people, the children at the homes and the communication with their families?
So the kids at the home, it's against our mission, but we've shut them down basically. So it's been very restrictive, especially during the peak of difficulties in the spring. Right now, parents are able to visit them outside. We're concerned and we have some ideas going into the winter. For home care, it's been the same way with the parents. During the spring, they were locked down. Even now, many of the kids aren't going to school because they're the highest risk out there. So it's unfortunate that their lives already were so compromised that they have to, again, be held back to a life that we work every day on a mission to fulfill it so it could be the best it can be.
Now, how old are the children and how do you filter who enters into one of your facilities?
So we'll take kids from birth to 21. For home care, it doesn't matter. And then we'll transition them into adult services. Home care, one of the keys to that is even if a middle-class family, has a good insurance policy, it's not going to help with the home care that's necessary to care for that child. So we've been able to work with government where there's specialty Medicaid exceptions to the rule, waivers, children's health home, and that affords a family that secondary insurance to be able to support that child at home. And then for our houses, we've taken young kids and of late, we can't even have some of the older kids move out because we're finding inappropriate, situations to be able to. We just don't want to refer them to other places.
Now, tell me a little bit about the types of children that may come into your home. What kind of diagnosis do they have?
My best analogy to that is a few years ago when we were going to do our walk, we looked at diagnoses and we thought we'll put them in front of a T-shirt. But when it was 600, it was like, well, we can't do that. It becomes the commonality that it's kids that we work with that have the long-term illnesses, and the categories can be a child with an intellectual disability, developmental disability, and a medical problem, feeding disorders, trach, and then it could be all the kids that have had unfortunate accidents. Mm-hmm. Somebody dropping a baby, shaking babies, car accidents, and they're left with needing care for the rest of their lives. And then we have the rarest of rare diseases, and because we have so many million here just on Long Island, we'll get a few of those families, and it's tough, and it's hard because it's hard to explain to people what this is all about, because there isn't just one word, but they all need support and care.
Well, that which goes hand in hand with medically fragile. Now, with where we are moving forward, we just came off of an electoral race. We don't want to talk politics, but what is your feeling about your ability to get funding? I know that I have a not-for-profit. We've spoken about this before with our inability to fundraise and with government cutbacks. What does that look like for Angela's House? Are you afraid of what is to come?
I'm very afraid, not only for this year and the difficulties, as you said, no fundraising and the cuts we have seen, even change in policy, which means cuts in funding. But I already know that New York State is already talking about being in a hole for $16 billion next year.
Billion with a B.
Yes, okay. With a B. And that we know it's going to pass down. So we are very, very concerned, like all nonprofits, because we are the ones that are, really holding up, our social system here in New York.
And we say that because there are those foundations that can exist by just having a strong mission and volunteers. You are physically a facility with overhead and costs and expenses that, those dollars are necessary in order for your operation to be maintained and to run. Tell me about some of the fundraisers or different ways that people might be able to help you. Do you look for volunteers? My vision and my goal for bringing you on the show today is not just to learn a little bit more about Angela's House, but I love what you do. And if there's a way that we can get other people to support you, that would be wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that. I know so many of the nonprofits are struggling. Mm-hmm. We just did get some recent very good news. We've never saw this kind of donation before in all our existence. I mean, it's really, but we had a local foundation, Island Outreach, offer us a matching grant. So if people understand whatever they were to help us with, that it's going to be matched, we're hoping that can help us for we usually have a fundraiser every month. So and those the fundraising that we do is our foundation side of our work, and that's when we're getting medical supplies, equipment, and other resources that there's no payment for. And we don't want that strain to be on a family. So, listen, if people, whether it's donations or following us, and the other part too is we opened up probably in the worst year possible.
I was just going to bring this up, the home store.
We opened up a home store in Medford, and you could go to our website, angelashouse.org. Listen, I did that for our future. I explained to people, I've been doing this now for 31 years, and I'm getting older. And my fear is what's going to happen when I'm not here. And if fundraising or government funding gets difficult. Well, little did I know that it was going to hit this soon, but I'm still here.
You're creating your legacy. I love that.
But the store is very important. It's like a bargain outlet. It's like a big thrift store, which is a combination of home goods, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware. So we have everything and whatever comes in the door donation-wise. So, it's got appliances, furniture. So it helps, and it will help us going into the future with bring additional revenue.
And tell us where the store is located.
It's located in Medford on Route 112, and it's, like I said, go to our website. We have Angela's House Home Store or angelashouse.org, and you'll be able to get all the information and see the wonderful things we're able to do there.
I've been there, and I'm a fan, and I think it's so important that if you are a family that's remodeling and you're looking for something, or you're looking for a great place to take your gently used items and donate them, Angela's House Home Store would be perfect. You are listening to the Diversity Project. We are in studio today with Bob Policastro, the founder of Angela's House. And of course, we always want to take a minute to thank our sponsors, LifeVac, an innovative first aid device that can save lives with their non-powered suction device used to clear airway obstruction. Visit lifevac.net and order yours today.